Think of an artist who's made timeless hits, reached the highest of highs, and yet some would say has gone to reach the lowest of lows. Even at the lows, you can still change an entire scene by being creative and by embodying the phrase, keep going. An artist who you know better than you may think, previously under the name Mike Stud before shortening it to Mike. Yep. Just Mike has experienced all of this and much more on his way to be a face of resilience in the music industry. Things all began for Mike in college, where he was a pitcher at Duke University. During his 2008 season, he started suffering elbow tendonitis, cutting his season short after only 3 games, and would need to get Tommy John surgery. This is important to his career as a musician, I promise. While he was injured, he started working on music to have fun while he couldn't play. He released a music video for a song he made as a joke to make his teammates laugh, and this track was called College Humor.
Man, I love college. I never wanna leave this place. Van Wilder, I got the keys to the gate. Hold up, yeah. I think it's my turn.
Following College Humor, he came out with In This Life, featuring Alex Legman, and then a mixtape entitled A Toast to Tommy. Safe to say he really enjoyed making music during this time, because he also released a second mixtape less than a year later titled Click, which was a collaboration tape with Huey Mack. We've made it to 2013, a whole 5 years since he had the surgery that led him to making music in the first place, and he's 2 mixtapes in already. And it's finally time for him to debut with his studio album titled Relief. This album had a solid first week for a debut album of a new on the scene artist, selling 4,600 copies the first week, with the second week being even better when it sold 7,400 more copies. People were being introduced to him over time, and they liked what they were hearing. He followed this album with the release of his second album just over a year later, entitled Closer. Really hammering home the baseball theme here, huh? Well, this album went number 1, selling 15,000 first week and being the first number 1 album released under the newly branded 300 Entertainment. He continued his upswing of activity with an 8-track mixtape titled This Isn't the Album, which featured some old and some new tracks to hold fans over until it was time for his full album. After this, there would be one of the greatest rises of an artist ever with Mike Stud's release of his 2016 album, These Days. I guarantee you have heard this album whether you remember listening to it or not. This album featured 10 songs, the biggest of which is Swish, sitting at 86 million streams as of today, with a remix of his song These Days that came out with This Isn't the Album.
How many come up till it's destiny? How many come up till it's meant to be?
This song was absolutely huge when it came out, reaching 320 million streams on Spotify and 44 million views on YouTube before the remix was released, where Mike enlisted the help of an old teammate and current MLB player Marcus Stroman to feature on the record. Mike then found exactly where his future in music would lead him to. He began to release music that reflected him in a more personal and intimate sense, and started this change with his album For the Homies, which was 23 songs that he said were basically the last 2 years of his life in music form. Then he changed his name from Mike Stud to Mike. Yep, just Mike.
But continuing as Mike Stud would have been literally that, continuing a gimmick, because it's no longer authentic and true. Facing yourself, doing it in front of people, and being candid about what that journey looks like and what it takes maybe to do that, to work on yourself.
From there, he found a lane and has been making music that's better than ever, and he's also started something that could change the landscape of music. More on that in a moment. 2021 marked the release of Mike's album, The Highs, which is packed full of tracks that will just put you in a good mood. Tracks like Life Got Crazy, Two Birds, and Rodman takes this album to the next level, and in all the music videos released for songs in this period of time are just him and his homies hanging out and enjoying life. Enjoying the highs. This album sold 13,000 in the first week, but more than that is the fact that it received reviews of critics and fan scores sitting around the 8 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 range. It's just vibes. After The Highs, one would expect to complete a double feature with an album called The Lows. Come on, it's only right to do so. And Mike agreed, but would take a lot of time in between these albums by touring, releasing a collaboration album with his buddy Skis, and raising up a way for his fans to receive even more music that normally wouldn't be released instantly or ever. He started his platform called Only Steve's. Only Steve's allows you to look at 2 or more exclusive songs every month with first access to concert tickets, podcasts, studio live streams, and much, much more. I think this is sick, especially with the way podcasters and content creators in general use Patreon. This is his way of transferring it to music. And then, after 3 long years of waiting, Mike finally decided to release The Lows. This album is 35 songs with a runtime of just under 2 hours, and every single track is worth listening to. He's a testament of the fact that no matter what, just need to keep going. From being a D1 baseball player at Duke, to facing the surgery that ends many pitchers' careers, to starting music for fun and finding success, to breaking into the mainstream and exiting after a quick peak, to finding a new wave and figuring out a way to elevate his music continually, give his fans a closer look at his unreleased music, and it doesn't look like he'll slow down anytime soon.